Well, it's been a minute, but some massive Star Wars news dropped today. Massive, I guess. Believe it or not, nobody's talking about it like they should be, or like you would expect them to be talking about this. Go back 10 years, go back 6 years, go back even 5 years. And when news like this would drop that a new Star Wars trilogy was coming, people would be losing their minds. People would be overly excited, saying this is great news. This is something to be excited about. But here we sit towards the end of 2024, and people just... they're not excited. They're not sitting here saying, yes, give me more. This is what we want. No, that's not what they're saying. What they're saying is nobody's asking for it. Why would they do this? Now, the initial report comes from Deadline, but I want to read specifically what the Hollywood Reporter is saying, because there is a massive amounts of confusion out there from reports saying that it's going to be episodes 10, 11, and 12 to it being a new trilogy for Lucasfilm. So, Star Wars, Simon Kinberg. Now, you may know Simon Kinberg. He actually helped usher in The Force Awakens and the new Star Wars trilogy back in 2015. He also did Dark Phoenix, X-Men Dark Phoenix. He apparently helped on Star Wars Rebels, and he has been dabbling in many areas of the superhero realm, as well as Deadpool and other areas as well. So he has played in many areas within Hollywood, with Disney, with Lucasfilm, with Fox. He's known within the Disney family for sure. There's a few things that I want to talk about, but here, let's just kind of get into it. So this, like I said, is coming from Hollywood Reporter. It says, Simon Kinberg is heading into hyperspace, signing an exclusive deal to write and produce a Star Wars feature trilogy. Kinberg would spearhead the launching of a new saga in the beloved galaxy far, far away, and will write the scripts for what Lucasfilm hopes would chart a brand new path forward for the sci-fi space opera universe. Lucasfilm topper Kathleen Kennedy will also produce the new trilogy. The new story is not meant to be a continuation of the Skywalker saga, which is good because we can't forget this. Remember the big marketing for the Skywalker, the Rise of Skywalker was the saga will end, which was a big mistake. So obviously it can't. This can't be a continuation of the Skywalker saga, right? However, this continues the name of the overall arc of the popular pop culture dominating Star Wars movies known as episodes 1 through 9. The intent here is to have brand new characters and a new story and not have it be a continuation, according to sources that are talking to the Hollywood Reporter. Although, that does not mean that some characters could not or would not pop up. All right. Now, what's really interesting is because Deadline was reporting like, hey, this is going to be a continuation of the Skywalker saga, episodes 10, 11, and 12. Now, I initially, at first, said, here's some big takeaways. These are the takeaways that you need to take a look at from this. Number one, Kathy Kennedy is not going anywhere. She's going to be sticking around. You figure if she's going to be producing these films, all three of these movies, if these movies actually get made, mind you, that means that's another minimum 6 years. Minimum 6 years. 2 years per film to get written, made, released. Written, made, released. Written, made, released. 6 years. She's sticking around. So there's that. Again, this is the guy that made Dark Phoenix, so let's not get into that. Again, the saga ended. Now, this is back when everybody was believing it's going to be 10, 11, and 12. I still think that's what they're going to be doing, because let's not forget that the Rey movie was recently delayed once again. Daisy Ridley recently was talking about how there's going to be big changes and big announcements or something like that, a big surprise, something along those lines she was talking about recently. Could this be what she was talking about? I have a feeling that this plays a role in that. I have a feeling that they're retooling the Rey film because they were getting a new writer. Remember, they lost their writer. They needed a new writer. Remember, that's why it was delayed. New writer needed. They brought in Simon Kinberg, and they're like, hey, we're going to bring him in. He's going to retool it and make a brand new trilogy. And here's the thing. It's going to be... like, with all Lucasfilm stuff under Star Wars, it's inevitably either going to be canceled or it's going to be somebody else that takes the reins. Now, if this is the Rey movie, if this is what it is, if it was the Rey film and it's actually being shifted to Simon Kinberg, then okay, this is probably the fourth or fifth iteration at that point in time. So maybe it won't shift again and get canceled. This is just the fourth or fifth person it's being shifted to. Makes sense. But I will say, it's impressive if they're going this route, that they're actually taking the time to flesh out the story with one creative and actually saying, hey, let's put this together as a trilogy and think this thing through a little bit and not have a story that doesn't make any freaking sense like we did with the first trilogy that we did. Now it makes a little sense. Maybe they learned a little bit of something, but I digress because we know they didn't. Because what they're going to do is they're still going to push their asinine agendas. They're still going to put their woke ideologies into this shit, and it's still going to be crap. We know that. We understand that. We know that's what's going to happen. But maybe they learned just a little bit. Maybe just a little bit. Regardless, this is a movie or a trilogy that nobody wants. We don't want this. But it's going to happen, maybe? I don't know. It's so interesting that, like I said at the beginning of this video, this announcement should have been internet breaking. 5 years ago, this would have been. 6 years ago, 10 years ago, this would have destroyed the internet, this type of news. But it doesn't anymore. And that is how we know Star Wars is in such a bad place. The fact that it did not break the internet. The fact that the internet is just like, meh, nobody really wants it. There's many questions that we need to ask. And yeah, they have their, I think, Brazilian D23 starting this week. And maybe they'll talk about it there. I doubt it. They might mention it, but I doubt they'll really dive into much more of it there. I don't think we're going to hear much more about this. Maybe at Celebration this coming year, and I think it's in Japan, we'll hear more about it. But that's probably the next time we hear anything about this trilogy. I don't think we're going to hear that it's the Rey movie, being pushed together with this. I don't think we're going to hear much about the Rey movie or this trilogy until then. And at that time, I think we're going to learn that it's one and the same at that point in time. I really do. I think this is a really weird scenario for everything. I don't know. They've really flubbed up how they're handling this IP, and it just seems to get worse and worse constantly. Like, that Rey movie should never have been announced. They should have never talked about it until they had a script. First off, the movie doesn't need to be made. Nobody wants it. But they should never have done anything. They should never have announced it. They should never have talked about it until they had a script and were ready to go. Why don't they understand that with this IP? Why don't they get that they keep failing? They keep falling on their face constantly because they put the horse before the cart. Wait, the cart before the horse. Man, sorry, I'm just getting over being sick. My head's all cloggy. The election this week, man, it's been a wild week. Time change, that's what I'm going to blame. I'll blame everything on that. They keep putting the cart before the horse. There we go. And they get ahead of themselves. That's all I'm trying to say is they get ahead of themselves. They fall on their face, and then they have to cancel things. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They need to get back on track. Maybe this is them trying to do that, but I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about all this? Do you think this is what is happening to the Rey movie? Do you think they're retooling it and making it a trilogy? Do you think the Rey movie is going to be something completely separate? Do you think this is going to be 10, 11, and 12? What do you know? Or what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. And with all that said, I'll catch you all later.